Have you ever had a problem that just freaked you out and then revisited that problem and thought, what was I so worried about? Well, let me explain why the same problem can be the most devastating thing ever and then seem to be not a problem at all. I'm going to introduce you to a nervous system called the autonomic nervous system. You already know this nervous system. You feel it all day, every day. This nervous system has two predominant paths. First, the fight or flight path, which you are so familiar with already. This is the part that makes us feel nervous, makes our pulse rapid, our heartbeat quicken, our butterfly belly. We can't eat, we can't sleep. We worry incessantly over trivial things, over and over again. It also makes us sweat, breathe too fast. It disturbs our bowel movement and stops our digestion. Not a good place to be in. Necessary at times when you need to run away from a threatening situation or fight for your survival, but unfortunately, we are in this nervous system many times a day and we can't snap out of it, making us anxious, making us ill. But there is a second part to this nervous system called the rest and digest path. This part is one that we don't hear about. Not much focus has been placed on this nervous system, yet it is so important that we should learn about it. This nervous system is the opposite to the fight or flight. It calms us, slows our breathing down, our heart rate decreases, and our digestion can normalize, and it makes us feel overall pretty good, calm, happy and content. We come in and out of both these nervous systems many times a day, and depending which one you are in, they can colour whatever it is you are doing or thinking. So, what does this mean in practical terms? Well, it means that we can become aware of which part of the nervous system we are in, so we can decide to hold off what we are doing or choose to do something different that will switch us into the other part of the nervous system. In other words, we can change our response and therefore our outcome. We all know how easy it is to be in fight or flight, but how do we switch to be in the rest and digest? What skills do we need to learn? Before we look at these skills, let's explain how our thoughts can affect our nervous system. Let me ask you to think of your favourite food for 10 seconds. Whatever it is, melting chocolate, a roast dinner, a sweet delicacy, a piece of fruit. Or for some, it may be lemon and sour foods that make you salivate. How long did it take you to salivate when you started thinking of a particular food? For most of us, it only takes a few seconds. So why do you salivate? You salivated because your mind thought that there was that particular food present and was preparing the digestive juices, saliva, to begin its process of breaking down the food, digestion. Now, the important point we need to consider here is that there was no food. It was just a thought, and the body responded within seconds. So a key point to remember here is the brain doesn't know the difference between a thought, in this instance food, and reality, no food. The brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and reality. That means what you are thinking is considered real in your brain. That's why we can think of a sad scenario and it makes us cry. We can think of a happy scenario and it makes us smile. Each thought changes the biochemistry in our brain and body. You are either releasing adrenaline and other stress hormones by your thought, the fight or flight, or releasing saliva or happy hormones by your thought, rest and digest. So, strategy number 1, be mindful of what thought patterns you are habituated to, because they're controlling how you are feeling. Next, let's discuss how breath affects our nervous system. In a moment, you're going to see a counter counting down from 15. Within that time, I'd like you to count how many breaths you take. An inhalation and exhalation counts as one breath. All you need to do is count how many you do in the 15 seconds. Try not to calm them down or change your breathing pattern from your normal breathing, because that will give you a false reading. We want to count normal breaths. Okay, here we go. Now I want you to multiply that number by 4 to give you your breaths per minute. For example, if you counted 5 breaths in that time, then your breaths per minute would be 20. So, what does this number mean? It is common knowledge that hyperventilation, or breathing too quickly, can make us feel anxious. To prevent us from hyperventilation and breathing that can lead us to fight or flight feelings, we aim at 12 breaths per minute. For some, this is easy to attain, but for others, some breathing exercises can be practiced to create this new habit. So, strategy number 2, be mindful of how your breath is controlling your feelings. Now let's take a brief look at the company we keep. The people we associate with can affect how we feel. Make a list of the people you associate with on a daily or weekly basis, including who you interact with on social media. Then, next to their name, write down how they make you feel. Do they make you feel stressful or anxious, or do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel tired and zap your energy, or do they make you feel inspired and light? We all have different connections with the people around us, and it is important that we are aware that there are some people we should choose to be with when we are feeling stressed or anxious, and others we may need to avoid if possible at these times. So strategy number 3, be mindful of the company we are keeping and how they affect us. Now let's put these 3 strategies together and bring in some practical skills that can support us in creating new habits to achieve a general state of calmness, free from stress and anxiety for most of our day. Strategy number 1, be mindful of what thought patterns you are habituated to because they're controlling how you are feeling. 1, make a list of the most common thought patterns that cause you stress. It could be, I'm always crap at this, or nobody understands me. Whatever your thought pattern is, write it down. Then realistically rephrase them. For example, does nobody understand? Maybe there are 2 people that understand your situation. Also ask yourself, if you made this comment to a friend, how would they respond? 2, say the word stop, out loud if needed, to stop those thoughts repeating itself. 3, remind yourself of a cozy place that makes you feel safe and happy. It could be playing with your puppy or when you place the duvet cover over your head in bed at night. Use these images on a regular basis, that is, all day, every day, to change that chemistry regularly. Remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and reality. The more you think of these images, the more you are producing the calm, happy hormones. The brain works in building habits. The more you think of a scenario, the more you are likely to go to your happy place. 4, listen to music and dance. Research shows this definitely shifts brain chemistry. Strategy number 2, be mindful of how your breath is controlling your feelings. 1 way to slow your breath down is by humming on your out breath. Keep your mouth closed but hum to your out-breath. Breathe in through your nose and hum the out-breath again and again. You can do this many times throughout the day to try to decrease the amount of breaths per minute. Again, we are building a new habit. 2, there are some great apps around on Facebook where you watch a scenario for 10 seconds or so. That really slows your breathing. Headspace and other organisations really promote these type of apps. Download one and view it regularly throughout the day. Again, changing a habit requires these actions throughout the day. The brain does respond if you do it frequently enough. 3, other activities like yoga, massage, mindfulness, guided meditations all work with the same goal in mind. Calm the breath, calm the mind. Strategy number 3, be mindful of the company we are keeping and how they affect us. This is not an exercise in avoiding people in your life. The aim here is to be mindful of your feelings. When you need support, you know who to go to, and when you need to de-stress, you might also need to avoid activities like social media. Sometimes simply being aware of how people make us feel can sometimes even change how we feel about them. We all have different dynamics between the people we know, you with them and them with you, which doesn't make it right or wrong, it just is. Hanging out with people we feel safe with more often gives us a space to mentally rest or possibly explore what it is that makes us feel stressed. Making room in your life to work on these 3 perspectives can only make a positive impact on shifting you to a more healthy nervous system, not one that is stuck in that fight or flight response. So let us recap. There are events and thoughts that can switch us from one side of the nervous system to the other, from rest and digest to fight or flight, or vice versa. Your rest and digest nervous system loves slower breathing, massage, yoga, mindfulness, or similar activities. It loves reading, music, dancing and singing, happy thoughts, people we feel comfortable with, salivating, slow, repetitive activities like colouring in or walking. Your fight and flight nervous system becomes triggered when we think uncomfortable thoughts, repetitive thinking, breathing too fast, constantly working without a break or sitting long term in front of the computer, working while we eat or eating in front of a computer or social media, staying up too late or not getting enough sleep, and doing things in a hurry or under pressure. So make some choices today that will affect the rest of your life.